Welcome to the Relatable podcast, a safe space for open and honest conversations created for Black people.
This podcast explores how we relate to one another in our intimate connections, friendships, family, and everything in between. Hosted by 3 Caribbean women. I am Fiona, a single mom.
I'm Sherween, a very near empty nester.
And I'm Chantal, a free-spirited monogamist. Relatable, because a shared journey brings hope.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Relatable podcast. We are back and very happy to be back. This week has gone by very, very quickly. I do not know where the week has gone, but I am very happy it's Friday as well, people? Seriously. So we have a very interesting topic, today. And I don't know how I'm taking it because, boy, it's hitting close to home. But anyway, it's fine. But before we do all of that, I just want to ask everybody, how are you doing? How has your week been? What have you all been up to? I'll start with you, Chantal. What have you been up to? How's the week been with you?
Well, like you said, Sherween, this week has sped by. This month. We are in mid-September, which is blowing my mind a little.
Mm-hmm.
This week has been quite spacey and choppy for me. It's a week that typically in Saint Kitts and Nevis, we have like 2 bank holidays in one week, which sounds great in theory, right? So at the top of the week, we celebrated National Heroes Day, which is a day that we take to uplift and celebrate our local heroes, local to Saint Kitts and Nevis. So I love National Heroes Day. And then in that same week, we celebrate our independence. So it's been an interesting week. I have feelings about us declaring independence when, the king is still officially our head of state. And, there are still things that we have to report into, the royals, the sovereign, whatever they're called. But I guess that's for another episode. But, I also know that the people that worked to bring us to this state and the fact that we are technically independent for 41 years, it is something to celebrate and to be proud of.
Yeah.
But I also feel, and in saying that, there's still a lot of work for us to do, right? So, on that level, this week has been interesting. I've also, I've been having some serious challenges with a few projects that I'm working on, ongoing challenges, and it's really taking a lot of my energy. And so one of the things that I've been trying to do is just to be present in each day, right?
I like that.
Yeah, and to remind myself that a lot of my anxiety around these things is because I am looking into the future and worrying about things that haven't come to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of focusing on today and what am I doing today to resolve some of these things. So it's been a lot, and I'm really happy that we're going into the weekend because we're recording this a little later than normal because of some of those things. So I'm really looking forward to just being present in the weekend that's coming up. So that's me. Fiona, how has your week been?
I'm having a shitty day. Not a shitty week, a shitty day. It's them days where you feel overwhelmed, you feel powerless. I have been productive and all that jazz, but I just feel like I'm mourning. Sherween and I are mourning. We had an amazing weekend in Martinique. Because you know what it is? We have good friends in Martinique, right? One of which is your friend Sophie, Chantal, right? Sophie has been showing us, and I said that to her. I said, thank you for showing us your version of Martinique, because she's very militant.
Yes,
she is. And she points out things we may not notice. And she has such a connection to the culture in Martinique, the force of Martinique culture. And even still, she can still be quite critical of it because she's even looking at some of the nuance of certain things. And even like, okay, I don't support that band because it's funded by the Beckies, which are, the Blanc Creole, which are the white Martiniquans. So I thoroughly enjoy going to Martinique and being with Sophie and just enjoying that country. So I'm in mourning, I'm sad, I'm overwhelmed. I'm not having a good day.
Oh,
Sherween, how are you?
Well, I'm okay. I'm all right. Like you, Fee, I am very much wishing to be back in Martinique. Last weekend was just, when you sit back and you think of how you want your life to play out in the future. Last week was like a manifestation of that. Last weekend, it was so beautiful. We just pack up. You wanna tell me, "Oi, Sherween, we going Martinique." I say, "All right, say no more." And that was it, like a few days before. That was it. Tutus, she tell me, hey, car booked, Airbnb booked, boat booked. I'm like, huh, that is it. That is it. We were not worrying about food. We were not worrying about this. We were not worrying about that. We went and it was I think the only thing we were worried about was Fiona driving for the first time on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side, sorry. That's the only thing we were worried about. And how would she handle a manual car? Could you believe that? We just pick up and go.
Three things. Driving on the other side of the road, driving a manual car. Now, I learned manual. That's how I learned how to drive, but I haven't driven manual in years. And then to drive on the motorway for the first time because Martinique has very large highways, like 6-lane highways, right? And I managed to do it all. Yes. Only one time we got lost, but that's all right. One night, one Saturday night? No, Friday. It was a Friday night. Friday night we had gone to see these women drummers. Well, we went to see this band and they were practicing for carnival, all the live drumming. And there were these beautiful women there. We're trying to recruit them and sing whatever. And then we went and lime someone else after. And the GPS was rerouting us in a way where it just looked like a bowl of spaghetti on the screen. And we didn't know where to turn and we kind of got a little bit lost. But other than that, we conquered that. We conquered that. Sherween was telling me, okay, go left, turn right, foot exit, and whatever. And we managed that shit, Gassa. Yes, I could not have done it without Sherween, though.
Bearing in mind, I was drunk and high, yeah? I was...
Oh.
Both times.
Both I was drunk and high, and I had to revive one time. That bitch killed my high. So it was a bit of an adventure. But you know what? That was the most perfect weekend. And if there's any way I'd like to spend my weekends in the future, this is the benchmark. It was so beautiful. So beautiful. So yeah, I'm missing that. I had a workshop, which was lovely. And my workshop, that's my first time doing it. I'm running this workshop with our dear friend Daria, and she does movement, and I come in with stoic reflection and body scrubs and just primal therapy, scream therapy, basically. So we all we all have a moment of reflection. The first workshop was based on a view from above. So our participants got a chance to reflect on their life, like watching their lives from above and see what they want to change, what they want to get rid of, what they want to make space for. And then there was a moment of reflection and some group sharing. And then we had some body scrubs. We scrubbed ourselves and then went into the water and had a moment of screaming. And I've done this before on my own, never knew what it was called. Okay, I remember one time two of my men in my lives were in the same place at the same time. Both of them upset me. And I just end up screaming so loud, but not loud, not outwardly, screaming from within. And I went and sleep. It knocked me out. So I think it's something from then on, I believe it's something that is necessary, something every now and then when we want to release rather than taking it out on somebody or saying the wrong things or doing the wrong things. Just let it out, release, scream, and feel better at the end. So this is what it's about. There's 5 parts to the workshop, once a month, another full moon. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited about it. So that's what I've been up to in a nutshell.
I love that, Sherween, and I can't wait to experience this workshop with you one day.
Yes, it would be nice.
Nevis, you and Daria, that might be even better.
So this week, people, we're speaking about being intentionally single. All right. Intention, being single, but intentionally single. Not single because you break up with your man, you didn't want to break up with your man, and you don't have a man, and you may want a man and or a woman, speaking from a female perspective, obviously. But yeah, it's about being intentionally single. And I have no experience doing that because I'm never single. Well, I am single now. I want to say I'm single now. I choose. Fiona, don't fucking laugh. I done. You see Fiona laughing. I feeling judged.
My throat. I had something in my throat. I did not laugh. I had something in my throat. Okay. It's cleared out now. Thank you very much.
Bitch, bitch. So yes, Chantal, we're speaking about being intentionally single. What is that? What does that mean? What does cousin Google say about being intentionally single?
So, cousin Google says, being intentionally single is knowing what works for you and what you could improve before bringing another soul into your personal circle. It means being genuinely self-aware of what you have experienced and learned from those experiences to become a better, more whole individual. That is it. Right.
Yes. The being self-aware part is where I have the problem. Because yeah, I don't give myself time. I don't give myself enough time for that. And I know that. So yeah, I'll let y'all run with that. Y'all are better at it than me. So I'll pass it on to y'all.
You're passing the baton? Were you?
For one, Sherween, I know that you're worried that this topic would be filled with a lot of judgment because when you compare the three of us, right, it seems that you are the one who's the least intentionally single, right? But then I question about it as well in terms of my times that I have been single and I am that now. And then yes, you could say that was done with intention to some capacity. The lines with that is very blurry. But there was a time, and you know, people who've been listening to this podcast, I'm sure I've spoken about it, when I broke up with somebody, and it was a very, very painful breakup, and I was alone and very isolated. And because I was just taking Dry to school, working from home, there'd be times when I would not have no face-to-face adult human conversation for a week, 10 days, 2 weeks. It's just me, Jariah, drop to school, come back, whatever. It's very, very lonely time. Was that, and I would say that it was a very transformative time. I learned so much about myself. I understood that, yo, my company is lit. I'm amazing. Like, and my creativity was kaboom, right? I was doing like all kind of creative stuff. And I mean, some of them I look back and cringe, but I did a lot of things in that time. And things like remember not asking for it? It was either the big campaign, and I launched a lot of things in my singledom. But then my question to y'all is, was that intentionally single? Or was that just circumstantial? So in terms of actively choosing, I cannot say that I have fully said, I'm going to be alone or whatever. What has happened to me, I would say, is that I've ended up being alone and I've decided to make lemonade out of lemons. And so that I haven't necessarily just jumped into something, but that doesn't mean I didn't want to, right? That doesn't mean I didn't want to be with somebody, but because I couldn't find somebody that I could connect with or whatever, I decided to do arts, history, paint something, do something, make a film or whatever. But that doesn't mean I didn't want to be with somebody, right? So I don't know if I've ever been fully intentionally single. Right now I am, and it is a circumstance of me choosing not necessarily to be single, but that I could not give that person something that they really wanted in their life, and that I had to therefore choose myself, right? So when you're looking at the things about being intentionally single, it's about working on yourself and all of those things, which are things that I think that I need to do. So I am currently in that state. You could say of maybe partial intent. Why you putting the bears in the fridge? Oh, they have two there. Sorry. Should we just getting some beverages for us? So to answer the question, maybe this may be the first time in my life that I have a semi-intent to be single. Every other time has been circumstantial. Okay,
Right.
Sherween, she watching me.
Okay.
A lot of the time, Fiona was single. I was during COVID. Eh? That was during COVID.
Sorry.
That was during COVID. All right, when things couldn't run.
Sherween, you're wrong for this.
Did not want to run.
But that's
Couldn't run. And I'm just making sure the listeners understand.
But I tell you that.
Okay.
I said yours in this. I said most of my singledom was circumstantial, not intentional.
Okay.
So I couldn't. It's not out of me not wanting to. It's because it couldn't happen. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think I've ever been intentionally single until now. Ho.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
I did. I listened to everything.
Wow. I
All
don't
right.
know what it is about this topic. I don't know what it is that has you and Fiona so sensitive. And you know I love sensitivity. You know I love sensitivity. But the way that you two, I don't understand what is happening here.
Chantal.
Oh.
Chantal, the problem is, okay, my problem is, I think, okay, let me go back. Let me give you go back a bit. I had never been on my own. And I think I've mentioned that before on this podcast many times. I had never been on my own. I went from living with my parents to living with my mom, to my mom leaving, to living with a man. At 17, that's my children's dad. Stayed with him until I was 23 years old. Moved to the UK with my two children. So within 3 months of moving to the UK, met my now ex-husband, married for 12 years, got divorced in January. He moved out in May of that year, 2017. And then in July, I moved in with a man. Okay, so let's just get the dynamics here. That's 2017. July, moving with a man, stayed with him, a no good son of a bitch for a year. And then it's just been, yes, I think from 2018, I would say I was single from 2018 to 2020. But when I say single, not single as in not sleeping with anybody. In fact, 2019 was a phenomenal year for sex for me. Shut up. Phenomenal. So I was single, but enjoying my whoredom life. I really, really was. And then 2020, met with this guy in a relationship one time, break up after 6 months, come down to St. Lucia. 3 weeks after I reach in St. Lucia, I in a relationship with a man, stay with him for 4 months, break up, I single for a few months on my own for a few months. This probably was the only time in my life I was on my own, from July to November. Only time in my entire life I was completely on my own. No kids, nobody. I was still fucking, but no kids, nobody, no man living with me or anything. All right. So I've never been intentionally single. Then November, I met somebody. They've been with me on and off, on and off, on and off. But yeah, I am in a place whereby now I want to be intentionally single. Now I want to say, Sherween, you know something, you need to get to know yourself. I love my own company, but my problem is I love to fuck. That's my problem. I love sex. And I feel like in my latter years, now that I'm growing up, my body, my hormones, my libido is just on fire. Okay? I may want to be on my own for 2 weeks in the month, but the other 2 weeks I want to hump everything that passed by me. And I cannot, I do not know how to change that or how to stop that. I don't know what to do. I try, but it's very difficult.
What I would say is, in anything in life, when it is, I don't know how to do it, is to start. I remember like when I was alone, Gasa, it was, there was something hard. I don't think I recall myself ever crying so much and being so lonely that it was painful. And I felt like I couldn't do it. So I think being intentionally single is like going through anything new, learning a language, learning how to drive, learning how to do anything. You have to go through a period of where it's hard, it's awkward, it's very uncomfortable, and then you ride it out. I know that I can be a very habitual person. And so even so, sometimes when I fall into loneliness, I never like to say that I'm bored, but it could be loneliness or just wanting a little pep, a little vim. What's the word? The thing for the when you get with the opposite of cortisol. What is it? Endorphins. Right? Little endorphins from a little attention, a little affection, especially from when it's someone that you might like or whatever. Or maybe not. But I can fall into the habits of things that I know that don't serve me, that don't end up satisfying me. It's like giving me a little small heroin shot, and then afterwards it doesn't satisfy me what it is that I really need. So what I would say, Sherween, is it's not about, none of us know how to do it. You think anybody knows how to be intentionally single? You think people wake up one morning and are self-love gurus? You think people wake up and they know themselves or of being alone or whatever? No, being intentionally single is a very difficult learning curve of discomfort. It's not a romantic journey of where you wake up every morning and you're like, I am enough. No, there'll be times where like, guess I fat, guess nobody want me, man. Like, wake up in the morning, no messages, like nothing. That is part of the intentionally single journey.
Interesting.
When Chantal say interesting, it is me.
What?
Yes, I feel like the therapist, like, oh, interesting. We may get back to that in a later session.
Put a pin in that.
Exactly what I feel, Gasa. Well, that's exactly how I feel when I speak. And I need to say something. And I think it's very, very important. Every week in a month, you'll get 4 versions of me. Okay? Every week in a month. 1 week, I am thriving on my own. I'm happy. I don't want anybody around me. The next week, I am crying because I'm lonely or because things not going my way or this or that. The next week, I am horny. I'm ready to jump anything that passes in front of me. So that's why you see, when I tell you I find somebody that doing the thing right, and they done it, and I don't have no problems, they don't have woman or anything involved. Hey, I'm all over that. And the next week, I am fucking angry. So every month, there's 4 different versions of me. And sometimes I want to be very much on my own. Other times, Gasa, I need to be in the presence of somebody. I need to hug somebody. I need to get that cuddle and to be told that it's okay. Even though I do. I do. I do feel, and that's how I feel. That is how I feel. And it's hard, especially for somebody who's never gone without it. Even though my marriage, it was not the best sexually, but I had that companion there. You understand? I had somebody there when I feel I need a hug. I could have get a hug. I do not know how to deal well with being lonely.
Let me ask a question. How do you know that you need it?
Because I know how it makes me feel.
Okay. I have a question, Sherween. With
Yes.
everything that you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be clear. This is a no judgment zone. And there's no one on this podcast who has everything figured out. That is an impossibility. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, others may have strengths and leanings towards one thing. Others may have work to do in that area, but there's no perfect soul or human on this podcast, right? And so I'm going to say this to you. With everything that you've said, this is why the word intentional, because for me, I would say, and I will hold up my hands and say that sugar, cupcakes, brownies, pastries, definitely a thing for me where I feel like I need them, right? But if my intention is, you know what, Shani, this month, you need to back off. And you know why you need to back off on the cupcakes over there on that side of the island, which you actually have to jump in a car to go and get, right?
I know that. I know them cupcakes.
You know those cupcakes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why is because I can feel that I have overconsumed. I can feel what the sugar and the dairy and all the things that taste good and give me that dopamine or dopamine, however you pronounce it, rush, actually not serving me right now. So I am putting the intention that for just this month, I'm going to say goodbye to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing about intentionality. It's something that you have to practice. It's not going to come automatically, especially if you're used to doing things a certain way and you're changing, you're forming a new habit, right? And the key to getting it is to be consistent, but also to offer yourself grace when, you know what, fuck it, I'm PMSing and I want a cupcake, right?
Yeah.
But the more I am intentional about it, the more I practice that, the easier it becomes. And so my body may be going into shock, like, hello, where is the sugar? Hello, Miss Thing. You know what you normally do on a Friday. You normally go, you get your things, you sit down, you da-da-da-da. But guess what? When I do that, the next day, I feel like shit. And then my day the next day doesn't have the energy that I need right now to focus on all the other amazing things I'm doing in my life, or all the things I need to do to bring the things I want to into my life. Because I went and I decided, sod it, I'm going to have my cupcake, and not just one, because I can never just have one cupcake. It has to be around 3. All right? And you sat down and you ate them and you binge watch whatever you binge watch. And now today you feel like crap. So what has this taught you, Chantal? That the next time that craving settles in, come back to how it made you feel the next day. Right? And so that's when I'm being intentional about something. The reality is, as Fiona said, it's not necessarily going to be easy, babes. But this is how we experience life. We experience life by trying new things, by trying different ways, by changing our perspectives. Okay, this hasn't been working for me. So what do I need to change? And as much as I'm talking about cupcakes and brownies and pastries, this can be applied to most things in our lives.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
I did not enjoy the first time that I was intentionally single. It wasn't an enjoyable experience because I was going through so much at the time. I had just left Nevis because I had left my partner, my ex-husband, now my ex-husband. I'd left him. I moved back to the UK. It was the first time I was in the UK as an adult. I wasn't living in the city that I grew up in. So I wasn't living up north. No, I was down south in London. Didn't know a soul. I knew no one. And here I am restarting my life, going through a very soul destroying breakup, right? Thinking that my life was over and knowing that a relationship was the last damn thing, the last thing that I needed because I would be of no good to myself and no good to that person. And no, I didn't know the phrase intentionally single at that time, but I knew that being in a relationship would not serve me. And so I chose to focus on me. I went to therapy, not to find a man. I went to therapy to heal my broken heart and all the other issues that my separation from this person had brought up, right? And also to help me get used to being in a city that I knew nothing about and that I did not have a community to lean into. And so there was no space for me to be in a relationship with everyone, yes, with anyone. Okay. And so, yeah, for the first few years of me doing that, focusing on myself, grounding myself into London, it was necessary. Once I then kind of got to where I felt was a good place, I was like, okay, I don't want to be single anymore. I didn't magically meet someone that I aligned with. That took another good years. It didn't just happen like that. And I had to deal with that I was in this city where Black men did not seem to be interested in me, where I pretty much seemed to be invisible as a Black woman. So then it was like, well, goddamn, now that I'm single, nobody taking me on.
There's a difference between single and available.
And so in my many times where I have chosen to be single, intentionally single, and the times where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to meet, the aligned partner for me, sometimes it flows. Sometimes it's very intentional and sometimes it isn't. But I've learned that my being and choosing to be single at whatever phase has served me. It doesn't always mean that I listen. It doesn't always mean that I
like it.
Right? It doesn't always mean that I choose to see the red flags. I will become colorblind, and those flags will be green when I know damn well, girl, those are red flags. Okay? I can feel more and a lot quicker, and I'm able to listen to when my body says, this is misaligned energy. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that person, but now I'm able to spot very quickly. And I love that.
Because you've spent enough time with yourself.
Yes, 100% Fiona. And I know some of my friends are like, Shani, like, give the boy a chance, no? Give the man a chance. No.
Right. Okay. So I've had like long spells of being single and stuff like that or whatever. And sometimes it's not even that long, but I've spent a lot of time with myself and still do. But I know what you mean. So sometimes I may meet somebody and they just may say one thing and like my spirit just dips. Right? It's nothing that they said that was bad or problematic or whatever. Just something small. So Sherween and I have a thing about we may meet some men and yeah, sexy, they can be this, whatever, whatever. And we may share something with them, something that's not about alcohol, sex, gossip, salaciousness, could have a marginal level of depth. It could even be about politics. It don't even need to be about some deep spirituality and the Yoruba thing, Orishas. If you reach there, it could be a thing about Israel. And you share it and they're like, what do they say?
For true. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like not even lukewarm, like tepid, just the most dry response. right? It's like, and then it's just like, okay, like I can't even if it is a casual relationship that you cannot even they cannot even engage with you on like some little basic things, right? And I have felt that way, Chantal, where if say I share like my art with somebody or art from someone else, and I want them to see the beauty in the thing that I'm seeing, and it's like it just doesn't connect. And I think you're right in terms of when you spend time with you, you learn more about what is not for you, so you can pick up on it quicker. So I had seen this other thing, right? And it was talking about addiction. And it said when you're trying to lose weight, right? And you say, boy, okay, as you said, I go and cool out on the cupcakes and stuff like that, right? Your body's saying, well, I'm to the cupcakes. Today's Wednesday. To me, that's our day. As today's cupcake day, right? And then your body starts to fight you, right? So whatever addiction that you have, your body starts to fight you. So even when you're trying to lose weight, your body goes into survival mode and starts to fight you. And then makes and increases your cravings, and then also holds on to the fat on your body as well, and lowers your metabolism so that you hold on to whatever you eat, your body is storing the fat, right? So whatever addiction we have, be it through food, alcohol, drugs, sex, hugs, whatever, attention, all the different things, our bodies will naturally fight it when we're trying to separate ourselves from that dependency, because we love the feeling of the dopamine rush or whatever of, and I think the benefits of being intentionally single is having no dependency on nothing, right? Or no person. And it's very hard and very uncomfortable. And times when I have been single, be it intentionally or not, it has not been fun. It has also been wonderful. It's been painful. It has also made me learn how to set boundaries. And I also realized the less I became single, the less I set boundaries too. Do you have any final thoughts, Sherween?
I do have final thoughts. And for me is being choosing to be intentionally single is something that I am working on. I really am. As much as I want to experience getting to know myself, I really want to experience getting to know myself. And I think I am. I think I know what I like and what I do not like. I think I know, especially when it comes to a person, I am able to spot the red flags now. Before I wasn't. Before I would give everybody a pass, like, yeah, okay, look at the situation and think. Now I am. I'm spotting it. I'm recognizing it. I'm being very like, hey, this is not for me. I know it. I know it. However, when it comes to the point where the time will come where I have to be by myself, I will be by myself. I will be. And that's me saying I'm ready to go a few months, go a year, 2 years if I have to, without having anybody in my life, without getting that dopamine hit, without getting those hugs, without getting, because in honesty, that means a lot to me. I have to be honest. We're being honest. I love getting my cuddles. I love having somebody hold me in the night. I love sex. I love being in the company of somebody, even though we don't have to speak, even though Casa, both of us get high and both of us go inwards, even though it's the yeah, even though it's that, I love just being in the company of people. And that is probably one of the things I have to work on. Love being in my own company. So yeah, that's my take on it. And yeah, we'll see. What are you saying, Chantal?
I think with anything that is new, there are going to be challenges, but
Yeah.
it's about us being also aware enough and having the self-awareness to know that something isn't working for
Mm-hmm.
us anymore and
Mm-hmm.
that we do need to adjust, right? So that's already the first step. The
Yeah.
first step in recognizing, yes, whilst I do love being in company. And I do love sharing my sexual energy. Like I love all of those things. There are things that I am also not happy with.
Yeah.
And I feel that having some time away from those things is going to bring me the focus that I need to improve the things where I feel I need improvement. So even having those thoughts, you're already a step ahead.
Yeah.
Like you're already in motion. And so perhaps the next step is the most difficult because you've already recognized,
Yeah.
all right, things need to change, right? Things need to change. But then activating the change then becomes the challenging part, right? And that's with anything new.
Yeah.
You know, and now I feel we're in a time where there's so, you know, there's so much terminology flying around that 20 years ago didn't exist for things that we probably were already doing.
Yeah.
Right?
No, seriously, I believe that. I believe that. And I also believe if you know, like you said, I've, in my case, I already know this is what I need to do for myself. And I also believe that the universe will let it happen in the right time, in its right time. When it has to happen, it will happen. And when it is not, because I find myself forcing a lot of things. I do force because I feel like, okay, I have to do this now. I have to do this. I have to do this. Or I'm getting, this is not right for you. This is not right for you. You have to do this. And I feel like I have to react. Sometimes I react and I'm reacting probably not at the right time. So you'll find, okay, it's not what I actually want. You understand? I'm doing it as a reaction.
Right.
Rather than this is what actually needs to happen and this is what I want. But I know it is going to happen. And when it does happen, it will happen at the right time. Without it being forced. Because that's how we all know how to manifest there. We know how to manifest and to bring the things we want into our lives. We've been doing it and we know how to do it.
I just wanted to add to something that Sherween has said in terms of listening and more leaning into flow as opposed to forcing things, right? And as much as you may be feeling, Sherween, that right now is a time for you to be intentionally single, for me, it could be the opposite. It could be the time for me to really step out of my comfort zone because I'm very comfortable in my singledom, whether it's intentional or not. Right? I actually love my own company. I'm happy to navigate this world by myself. I have done so for many years of my life. There have been periods where it's just been me. And because I'm also a child-free person, I haven't had to think about anyone else. But even that comes with times where it's like, oh, hold on. Maybe I need to be intentionally more open to experiences because not everybody that I have a connection with needs to be the next one or the love of my life, right? It could just be an opportunity for me to experience a different type of connection or a connection right now. And so maybe my intentionality right now in my life needs to be about that. But you will know and you will feel when it's right for you to be either intentionally single or otherwise. But what I will say, Sherween, is sometimes the universe is sending us very clear signals that we're choosing to ignore.
In this week's episode of Under the Mango Tree, enjoy Sherween and I's jubilant choral singing as we celebrate our friend's emancipation from her celibacy.
Amen. 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 It was so nice, but true.
So my question was, in regards to the things I sat and I listened to both of y'all very intently. And Sherween was talking about being forced into something, and then you were talking about ignoring signs, right? So my question to the both of y'all is, what is the difference between, not a difference, but how do you discern between being forced into something, right? And doing something with intent, right? So doing something with intent doesn't always mean that you want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the intention, so if I intend to go to this meeting that I know that I don't want to do, but I know that it's for my benefit, I do it, right? But I'm not being forced to, but I am doing it with the intention, even though I don't want to. So I don't know if that's a question or just an open-ended thing.
Oh no. Oh, Sherween.
I just said and what's showing there.
Wow.
Oh my God. She looked at me like, bitch, you gotta shut the fuck up right now.
I don't know why Sherween is taking this on. Oh, Sherween. Sherween, my love.
Like I
I need
said from the beginning, this is very heavy for me. This is a
Mm.
lot. This is a lot. Like, fuck y'all, you're not my therapist.
We are definitely not.
I know it wasn't about me, but it's falling in my plate, isn't it?
But
It's
no.
falling in my plate.
Chantal spoke about her intentional and unintentional singledom, and so did I.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke about how lonely and shit it was. I never saw myself cry so hard. And that whole fucking self-discovery and self-love is some romantic bullshit. It's not fun.
God, it is not fun. And we need
Okay?
to stop romanticizing that, okay? It's
Exactly.
fun.
It's not
Okay.
great.
I know it's not, and probably this is why I'm avoiding it at all costs. I am
Okay.
avoiding it, but I know it is needed. I know it is needed. The things that are not good for the things that are good for us are usually the things we don't like. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I know it is needed, but it will happen in its time, and that's where I'm gonna keep it. I'm not going to stop fucking. I will
Wow.
not stop fucking until I am ready to. When I am ready to, I will stop. When the time comes for me to stop, I will stop.
As
Fuck
a
you and your
romantic,
questions. And on this note,
I have a last question.
I don't know. I don't like being yelled at, Fiona. I feel like we're being shouted at, and I don't understand where this is coming from. I don't.
Last question.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So many of us on our journey of self-discovery battle with habits. I'm a very habitual person. I wake up, I have my tea with the milk in it. Maybe I shouldn't have a
Yes, you do.
black egg. I'm still doing it, Chantal, all these years later. Wake up, tea, right?
Okay.
With the
Okay.
same carnation milk and all these things. I know, guys, but why don't I have a herbal tea, a green tea, a bush tea, or something? No, I I am a habitual person, and it's very difficult for me to, even like when I'm looking at different things like my editing programs and how I tend to edit things in the same way, and I don't want to break out of my shell because it's uncomfortable for me to learn something or whatever.
Yeah.
And this goes in growth is uncomfortable. Okay, it's not easy. It's yuck. You feel stupid. It just doesn't. It sometimes it physically doesn't feel good. But my question is this: you hear the term "that's just how I am."
Mm.
That's just how I am,
Mhm.
right? How do we both feel about that term, that saying?
The way that I feel about it, Fiona,
Yeah.
is when someone says this, I feel that it's because something is speaking to them that they're not quite yet ready to accept. And for me, I don't recall actually using those words myself, but not to say that I haven't felt it. But when I feel it, I then do a check. I'm like, oh, what is going on here? because the way that I feel that my life should be is that I should always be open to expansion and growth and change. Because if I
But not all the
don't,
time you want to, Gasa. Like it's be tiring.
no, but I should be open to it, Fiona. That's
Mm.
the thing. I should not be closed, right? And if I find myself feeling, well, that's just the way I am, then whatever is happening in that moment is not what the issue is. There's obviously something else going on beneath the surface with me that I need to do a check-in with myself, right? Because it also screams of a lack of accountability. And I don't ever want to be a person that is not willing to see and own my accountability or responsibility to be in a situation that I've placed myself in, right? The only situation in my life that I will not take accountability for is being the survivor of sexual violence. There's nothing that I did to deserve that. Absolutely freaking nothing, right? Beyond that, yeah, there are decisions that I've made and, things that circumstances that I've put myself in where I'm not saying that I am to blame, but I can definitely see, well, you know what, Shan, you made the decision, or you put yourself there and you knew what this was or what he was or she was or whatever. You went against your instinct, you went against your intuition. And so, yeah, so I don't ever want to be the person that lives my life in a way where I am unwilling to accept my imperfections and the fact that I need to progress. I don't want to be that person, right? So that's how I feel about me when I am feeling that, well, that's just the way I am. Like, then what am I living for if I'm not willing to change?
That's the thing with me. I am willing to change.
Mm.
I am. I really am. I would like to see myself without having a partner, see who the person I become. I'm excited about what I want to do for myself, and none of the things I actually want to do for myself involves a partner. I'll put that out there. It doesn't. All the things I want to do, it requires me being on my own. It requires me taking the time for myself. And that's the direction I am going in. Okay. But like I said, it's just the timing, the timing. And I spoke to somebody, when I spoke to Tai said to me, Sherween, you're being very hard on yourself by giving yourself these deadlines. You put in more stress on yourself by saying, oh, I have to do this, I have to do this, you have to do this. How about you allow it to happen? It will happen because that's what you want. This is what you want for yourself. This is the direction you're going in. So it will happen naturally. But I have this thing whereby sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I should just do this. Just, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. I don't speak to nobody. Blah, 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 and I turn.
I'm not gonna stop fucking.
But also, Fiona, no one is asking you to, Sherween. No one is asking you to stop. This is why I'm like, but who is asking you to stop?
The way I do it is very bad.
Okay, my love.
So on this note,
I will
are we
say
all ready to close up this
no.
conversation?
Yes.
Maybe come
No.
back to it
No.
some other time.
No, I am not. I am
Yeah.
not quite ready to close up this conversation. And the reason why is I just wanted to say that these are the conversations that we need to be having,
Yes.
right? And these conversations do show us where we still have space to grow. That's all.
Yes.
It's
I
not
know.
about coming out of this conversation and being resolute. Okay, so this is what like you said, Sherween, like your friend Taitu said to you, it's not about being resolute and blah, 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 but about being open, right? Being open to change.
Yes.
And not just the openness, but the intentionality behind it.
Yes. Again, heavy for me. Heavy. So, on this note, Fiona,
Yes. What brings you joy this week? This podcast episode. So, for this week's What Brings You Joy, Chantal, what has made you happiest?
Once again, it's been food. Surprise, surprise. Actually, funnily enough, it's a combination of change and food, right? That has brought me joy. Because I too can be a creature of habit, right? And when I like something, I'm gonna get the thing from that place only. End of. Okay? And this is a very simple thing. Very, very simple. And it came about because of the holidays that we've had this week and the supermarkets, people shopping like hurricane coming, and it's a day's holiday. And so my mom and I ended up having to go and buy our bread, not at the supermarket, but at a bakery. And it's a relatively new bakery. And we roll up, and already I'm like, I don't want that butter bread, right? Because lately I've been craving butter bread. And I have my favorite for where I get my butter bread. I'm like, I don't want butter bread. Anyway, went in, bought 2 butter breads. They were warm still in the bag. Oh my goodness. And my mom is like, oh, they're warm, lovely. Bought the butter bread, came home. Let me tell y'all, I sat down. And you know when bread tastes so good, you don't even need anything on it?
Nothing, no butter, no jam, don't spoil it.
It was like,
nothing.
Yo. And that brought me joy. Just this beautiful, wonderful butter bread. That is it.
Again,
Fiona,
you
what
have been
brought you
telling
joy?
Nevis, you should be Nevis's ambassador, culinary ambassador, because the way you just big up Nevis food, from the tarts to the pies to the teas to the bread to the girl. So what brought me joy, most joy this week, was when Sherween and I went to Martinique, and we went to see this drumming band because they practice every week all year round for Carnival. And they were practicing, and we were looking at these women. And there was one young girl, and she had a short boy cut, and she was drumming, pow, pow, pow. Like, yo, she's amazing. She's amazing. Like, we were staring at her so much, we made her uncomfortable. So we had to stop. And then in comes in this other woman. She was a bit late, but she looked like she was 6 foot tall. She wasn't, but that's how she looked, because she had on short shorts, right? And she was dark skinned, and her skin was gleaming, right? And she had locks tied up into a high bun, and her skin was just flawless. And she had a drum, which must have been about 4 feet in length. And you just see, she just strapped that around her neck, pop, boom. And she started ponging it, boom, 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 with so much confidence, force, power, like the way she commanded like her space. It was one of the most beautiful things I have ever, ever, ever seen. And I feel like Martinique people don't understand like what a gift they have in all of these women drummers. That's what brought me joy. Sherween, what brought you joy this week?
Well, what's bringing me joy is my anticipation for my beautiful daughter that's coming. Jade is coming to St. Lucia, and I've not seen Jade in over 2 years, almost 3 years. I've not seen my child. She's coming. She's coming to St. Lucia on a holiday, and I'm so excited. I'm anxious. I want everything to be perfect for her. I want her to feel good. I want to take her everywhere. I want her to love St. Lucia because she's never experienced St. Lucia as an adult. The last time she came to St. Lucia, I think she was 12, and she was just stuck indoors. This time she's coming as an adult. I just want to take her everywhere. I want to show her. I want to hug her. I miss my child so much, and she's excited. And just the anticipation is bringing me a lot of joy. I'm very anxious as well, but I'm also very excited, and I'll be in full mommy mode when she comes. It will not be the same Sherween. It will be mommy Sherween when she comes. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. That's what's bringing me joy this week.
Lovely. I'm sure we'll hear all about Jade's adventures in St. Lucia with her mama. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Yep, that's right. That's right, my girl. I can't wait. I cannot wait for her to be here.
So, thank you for sharing your next joyful moment, your next glimmer with us, Sherween. It has been a very interesting.
It has been tragedy for me. It's too much self-reflection.
It's like she reading her own self. Like,
I don't understand.
it was never about you by herself. I had to reflect too, and it's like,
I'll do.
so a backstory. I assume I may have added fuel to the fire. I may have roasted Sherween just a little bit in the group chats, and this may have added to why Sherween felt that this may have been a spotlight. But it's not, Gasa. Like I said, the thing is, in singledom, even though it may look as if it's intentional, for me, I don't think it was. That was not me not wanting the hugs, not me not wanting. But if I couldn't get it, I just tried to do other things.
When she not getting it is, what? What's wrong with me? Why nobody fuck me? Why nobody not staying hard for me? What is wrong with me? That is Fiona's. And on this note, and that note, all right, on that note, we could say, thank you, Chantal. Close us out. Close us out.
So, listeners, we want you to share your stories with us. Has there been a time when you have been intentionally single? If so, what was your reason? We want to hear your stories too. Okay, so on that note, as usual, it's been lovely, 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 lovely sharing this podcast space with y'all. Let us know what you think about the episode. Rate and review us on all the platforms. We're available on most, okay? If you want to collaborate, partner, fly us out to do things, because we can do things. We have a manager of whom you can get in touch with. Sherween, remind me of the manager's email address, please.
Relatablepodcastmanager@gmail.com.
All right. Wonderful. And always remember, a shared journey
brings hope.
Even when you're single.
Bye.
Relatable, because a shared journey brings hope.